You're listening to the ASOTU CON Sessions by Effective live from ASOTU CON 2024.
My name is Danny Zaslavsky, and I'm here with ASOTU CON podcast stage in collaboration with Effective. Sitting across from me is Austin Beaver. Thanks for being on with me. This is my first time on this stage and doing this, so you do this all the time?
No, me too. Yeah.
Okay, good.
First time too.
Thanks for the both of us.
Yeah.
So you and I connected earlier, and we have similar journeys in that we both basically grew up in a car dealership family, right? And so your dad has been in the car business your whole life.
Right.
Share a little bit about that, just so we know, because you look pretty young.
Yeah, I look 23. I'm 28.
28.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was interesting. You know, the long hours and stuff. Never really seeing him that often. One thing that was important to our family though was he might have got home late, but my mother always had dinner cooked, and we had a family meal. No phone, no TV. Right. And I think that was really what kept us close through the long hours and the really hard work. Was there was always a family dinner every single night.
Did you spend time in the dealership growing up?
Yeah, after school, yeah. There were always Sharpies and highlighters, coloring on whiteboards and stuff like that, you know, playing with office supplies. Yeah, a lot of that, of course. Yeah.
But then at some point you decided, I'm going to find a path, and you went to college.
Yeah, so
that's
interesting too, because one day I came home from school, it was middle school. Mike Beaver, my dad had a whiteboard, no, not a whiteboard, it was a chalkboard, a green chalkboard in the house. In the living room, he had a chalkboard. And he would give us lectures with chalk. And he drew out the entire org chart, and he said, one day Austin Beaver, you're gonna
org
be
chart of your family?
Of the
kids?
Of the kids and where they're going in the family business, right?
Okay.
He said, you're gonna go and do finance, and you're gonna be the GSM, and you're gonna do that.
I met your dad, so I can believe this.
Yeah, he did it. It fell apart as soon as my older brother fell in love with coding and works for UNF as their data warehouse manager. Yeah, he did. He tried, but it's.
But you ended up.
I did, yes. So I still did follow his plan. I went to school for accounting, became a controller for Beaver Chevrolet. I did that for 3 years before coming up here and working with Patrick Abad as a mentor.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, this lays the perfect stage, because today what we're talking about is the way people really want to buy cars. And the thing that you and I were talking about earlier at lunch is, like, I'm 40. I know if my dad comes into any negotiation, he wants to feel like he has control and he has some version of a deal. Mm-hmm. And that all leads to some version of confidence, right? My sister, on the other hand, really feels like negotiating or any type of over-the-phone conversation is almost like hard, difficult, right? It feels intrusive. So she wants to be able to communicate in a way that isn't always face-to-face. Right. I kind of need both. And you and I were talking about how that's all confidence. How do you want to buy a car?
Yeah.
You're 28 years old.
So every time I buy a car, it's pretty much I tell the salesperson I want to buy a car. And he says, okay, go pick out a car. I point at one on the lot, and he throws me the keys, right? And I've never been to a finance box. I don't sign anything, right? But I just like a frictionless experience, right? I know the car that I want. I want to just point at it. That's the one I want. And then I drive off the lot with it, right? So.
And where did you do the research to figure out that you wanted to buy
so really,
that car?
it's all,
on the lot that day?
So before that, I had a Tesla, right? And my little brother just texted me, hey, we have a Tesla in stock. Do you want it? I was like, yeah. And that day I just drove down, and he didn't throw me the keys. He gave me the little fob card, right?
Yeah.
And I just hopped in it and drove off with it, right? And then he didn't tell me until a week later they haven't finished all the paperwork and stuff, and I bring it back. But that was all. That's just all the finer details that I kind of get away with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's interesting, because for us, we're always talking about at our store, at my car dealership, how much research happens before the sale, mm-hmm. and how much we're just providing confidence in the sale. And there was a mind shift in respect that we had to give to our customers, because we were all prepared with product knowledge and all these things that we wanted to provide. And often we found that our customers were almost educating us on the nuances. So when you shop for a car, where do you think that friction exists today in the industry?
Where do I think that friction exists today? Right. So I think right now we're still in this phase where we don't want to give all the information. Right. We still want to hold our cards, because we want them to come in, right, before we show them exactly what the deal might look like, right, what the transaction is going to look like. but everybody does it. Every dealer does that, right? Because we don't want the customer to be able to easily see every single transaction. The
because it feels
profile
like
of
giving
every-
away profit.
Exactly, right? Because they're gonna shop, right?
Yep.
Which, if they want to shop, we should allow them to shop, but we will not let them do that, right?
Okay.
So
So you're a controller,
Right.
and pay plans dictate that behavior sometimes.
Oh, okay. So if we can talk about behavior, right? So if you want to, I think that people are like water, right? So they flow in the direction of least resistance, right? That's just if you want to have someone behave in a certain way, you just make it easier. An example of that would be like we talked about. If you have trash on your lot,
Yep.
you put trash cans strategically around your lot to make it easier
Oh,
to
they might
throw
use
away
them.
trash, right? And they might use them.
But if you don't have trash cans on the lot,
Then you're going to find trash on your lot because there's no place to put it.
okay. So how does that? I mean, as a controller, when you see pay plans that incentivize gross, or when you see pay plans that incentivize in person, or when you have coaching that incentivize a rigid style of sales, is that the way you want to buy a car, or do you find that there is a better way forward?
This wasn't in the notes. Repeat the question.
Yeah, no. So for those of you that are listening, one thing we haven't mentioned yet is you guys are building a new Mazda store.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. And you're coming in as a leader of that Mazda store, right?
Yeah.
And so when you think about leading the people at that Mazda store, how do you think you will help them give a frictionless experience to those customers,
Okay,
to the customers that maybe are like you, maybe are like my sister, or maybe are like my dad?
Yeah, I love that question. Okay, so I learned as a controller that there's a lot of ways that we can just break down barriers and give your people the tools to be able to help the customer in the best way that is appropriate, right? So, for example, whenever I was a controller, I managed 4 amazing women, right? But I was trained by Kimberly Ragsdale, and we were on blue screen, which was back when Reynolds became Ignite, right? It was before then. So she was teaching me all the manual old ways to do it. A reconciliation is just you print out this list, you print out this list, you highlight whatever they have in common, and whatever's left are your reconciling items, right?
Yeah.
So that's how she taught me how to do all of those things, old school, right? So as soon as she taught me how to walk and then let me run, I was able to get rid of all those inefficiencies, and my team was able to close the month. You know, they went from a 5-day close to a 2-day close, right? So then we could spend a lot more time doing other things, right? And I think that we can do that for the entire dealership and the sales department, right? Is get rid of all these inefficiencies, get rid of all this busy work, and let them actually focus on what matters, which is the customer, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I think a perfect example of that would be some solution to the key system. The key situation where we have to either run back to the dealership to grab keys and bring them back, right? If we could just eliminate keys, that would create an amazing customer experience.
I had a whole process. You know those customers that would come up to you like, I want to see that car. Oh, I want to see that car too. I want to see that car. I would make those customers walk with me.
Yeah.
So they were like breathing hard by the third car, just so they had equity in the fact that like, you're working me, I'm going to work you too. Come on, let's go get the keys. I'll show you where they are.
Sure. Or if it's raining outside, it's like, I'll pull that car up. Don't bring an umbrella. Just show up just soaking wet. Like,
Yeah.
it's just...
Unless you have to jump it, right? Then you should wait here. I'm going to pull it up. Yeah, been there. So, okay, interesting. So you're going to be running a sales team, right? And I know that push-pull of feeling like I want to be able to deliver the customers where they are. Maybe they need to be delivered at their house. You guys have resources to do that. But you also don't want to give up the ability to sell back-end product. Right. Have you given some consideration to how you're going to serve the business while simultaneously serving the customer from a profitability standpoint? Right.
It's always the customer first, right? That even though we might not be able to maximize any transaction right now, you know, a customer is more than just one transaction, right? So if we can maximize the experience,
a 28-year-old already thinking about lifetime value,
right? So if you can maximize an experience, then you can maximize the lifetime of the customer, right? So
Okay.
I think it's just that simple, right?
Very cool. Who's your mentor?
So right now my mentor is Patrick Abad.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's he's
Mine too.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. He's been showing me. We have everybody in the crowd saying he's their role models, but yeah, he's helping me prepare to become the general manager of Beaver Mazda, which will open Q1 of 2025.
How exciting. That's got to make you like the youngest GM literally in the country.
Maybe I'll be one of the 40 under 40 one day.
Yeah,
we'll see.
That's incredible.
I have some time.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, you guys, I know your organization. I'm lucky enough to get to work with you guys.
Yeah.
My opinion is you certainly sell cars, but you produce incredible people. I mean, that is like been proven over and over. And so knowing that you now will lead and get the ability to produce incredible people, therefore creating incredible customer experiences, I mean, how awesome, especially coming from a controller background. That's awesome. Austin, thank you for being up here, and I wish you all the luck.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you for listening to this ASOTU CON session by Effective. If you want more content like this, you can check out our other podcasts. We have a daily show called The Automotive Troublemaker, Monday through Friday. Here on podcast, also live streamed on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. We also have a long-form podcast called Auto Collabs. And if you just want to go a little deeper into this community, you should sign up for our regular email. We put our heart and soul into it. You can get it for free by going to asotu.com. We'll see you next time.